Texas A&M is a team that people are going to be watching for in terms of the college football playoff. A team that got snubbed from last year's college football playoff, thinks that they deserve to be there. They're going to be plenty motivated to get back there to maybe even win the SEC West. I'm not sure. Quarterback play is going to be a key. They need to get some replacements on the offensive line. Wide receiver has been a concern for a while, but there are some talented players that can make things happen. Jimbo Fisher's team is a very talented team, especially on defense too. There's a lot to like on that defensive side of the ball, and then there's a handful of pieces on the offensive side of the ball that are all SEC top talent. So we're going to go over the top 10. This was one of the tougher lists that we've made so far. And number 10 is going to be the quarterback duo of Zach Calzada and Hayden King. I personally think that Calzada is the better talent. I think that he can do a little bit more in terms of throwing the ball and running, but Hayden King seemed to have the slight edge coming out of the spring. Whether it's Calzada or King, one of them is going to have to prove that they can elevate Texas A&M to a college football playoff level, and I'm not sure if that's something that they're capable of in their first year as starters. I like what I see from them. Now, there are some things that they need work on, but I like what I'm seeing so far from both of them. King kind of has a weird throwing motion to me, and Calzada is a little bit more natural, but I think right now King's maybe making a few more smarter decisions, and that's why he has the edge. Number 9 is a potentially rising star within Texas A&M's program itself in Jalen Jones. He joins another Jones on the other side of the ball that we'll talk about in just a sec. A young guy that's very, very fast, can make a lot of plays. And given that teams don't just pick on one side, you always have to be ready. And with the talent that's at wide receiver in the SEC, you always have to be prepared. And a young guy like Jones already knows that. And he's showing that he can compete with SEC talent. Now, the guy he's learning from is Miles Jones on the other side. This dude is 6'4", he's long, and he has got a future in the NFL. He surprised a lot of people by coming back, but he has 28 passes defended in his career, and maybe he came back because he didn't feel he had the best season in 2020, but all I know is that his return gives Texas A&M one of the most talented secondaries in all of college football. Number 7 is another secondary player in safety, Leon O'Neal. Now, he's not the best safety, in my opinion, on Texas A&M, but this is a guy who is not afraid to stick his nose in the trenches, to stick his nose in a player's face and talk trash. This is a guy who's very confident in what he is doing, and he is a veteran that's played multiple years now, and that's experience that you cannot just get anywhere, and he returns for another year. The other guy, a guy I'm really, really high on, is safety Manny Richardson, guy who is blazing fast. He is a future NFLer. I think he's going to be one of the best players in college football. I'm a big fan of him. I was a fan of him last year. I thought he was going to have a big year, and then he did, and now he's back for one more season before he moves on. Literally, he can do it all. He can run with a wide receiver on one play. He can play near the line of scrimmage. There's really no fear in his game. There's no hesitation. He plays the game fast, which makes for a lot of exciting plays. He may not get the production that a lot of other safeties have, but he's able to make those plays. He's able to influence an offense in what they're trying to do. And as you can see, we just listed off their entire secondary, so you know the teams aren't going to exactly have their way with Texas A&M when they're trying to throw the ball. Number 5 is Jaden Peavy. He's one of the many options on the offensive line, a very, very talented player that can plug up running lanes and be very disruptive. And it's going to be exciting to see how many of these Aggies defensive linemen make it to the next level, because they have the talent to do that, and it's going to be exciting to see what they can do on the SEC schedule that they play this year. Number 4 is Taita and Jalen Weidermeier, a guy who honestly wasn't super quick last year, or 2 years ago, I should say. He wasn't the fastest guy. He was just efficient with his routes. He was efficient with the ball in his hands, and he improved on both of those things last year. And now he's becoming a more complete tight end. His blocking has improved a little bit. I think that was the biggest weakness in his game as a freshman, but then again, he got thrown into the fire. He probably should have been playing as a freshman, but he figured it out, and now he has 2 years of experience under his belt. And coming in as a junior, he's one of the best tight ends in all of college football. Number 3 is Marvin Lille, a guy who is skyrocketing up draft boards that haven't been produced, but analysts and scouts are taking notice of what he can do. This is a guy who's 280 pounds and just a monster to block. Right when you think that you have control of him, he has the power to rip you down and shed you really quickly. His hands are just so strong. There's so much power in his frame, and he's so big that it's almost unfair what he can do with that kind of size. Number 2 is guard Kenyan Green, a guy who has guard tackle versatility. He played guard the last couple years, but word is now that they're trying to find 4 new players that he'll move to his more natural tackle spot. That's what he was recruited as. So we will see. This is an all-American talent. He's the best lineman, in my opinion, in college football returning this year, and a guy who is really tough to beat. Going to be in the NFL. Probably will leave after next year, and a guy that is going to set the tone for the 4 new guys that come in and join him on the line. Number 1, no surprise here, running back Isaiah Spiller, a guy who really improved on his speed. If you don't follow the Footwork King on Twitter, I recommend him. He's done so much good work with a lot of college football players, and Spiller's one of those guys. And now on top of the power that he runs with, he has the speed to run away from people. He has the quickness to make guys miss. He doesn't have to use power every single time. Not that he did before, but now he has an arsenal that's really terrifying. And he's one of the top 5 running backs in college football this year. So as you can see, the highlights of the team are the defense and then a handful of offensive players like Spiller and Green. Calzada and King have big shoes to fill now that Kellen Mond is gone, but if they can find someone, including Weidermeier, but also a wide receiver, the wide receivers need to step up, and then 4 other guys besides Green need to prove that they can protect their quarterback. The big X factor is that quarterback position. So whether it's Calzada or King, one of them needs to step up to make sure that Texas A&M is in good position. There's going to be big games that they have to, and they're going to play Alabama. They're going to play LSU. They're going to have to play big in those games. And it might not happen this year, which is too bad because you look at this talent that they have, and it seems like a waste. Green, Lille, Peavy, Richardson, O'Neal, and Miles Jones are all probably going to be gone after this year. So it doesn't feel like now or never, but it's as good as a chance that they've had to make the college football playoff, even without a veteran quarterback. So Jimbo Fisher has a lot of work to do at the quarterback position, but he has the talent to do it, and it wouldn't be a surprise to see Texas A&M in that college football playoff when it's all said and done.